Hello, Shining Ones, Abbe de Vere, the Royal Dragon Court. There has been much confusion online, with certain authors and podcasters misunderstanding the esoteric concepts of the Royal Dragon Court. I was very lucky to attend and meet the owner, Esther Rittman, at the Embassy of the Free Mind in Amsterdam, inspired by the Bibliotheca Philosophica Hermetica collection, which explores the connections between humanity, nature, and the universe. The Embassy of the Free Mind serves as a platform for free thinking, showcasing a rich collection of texts and images that span over 2,000 years of European culture. It is located in the historic house with the heads on the Keizersgracht in Amsterdam, a building dating back to 1622. The institution was opened in October 2017 and aims to promote the philosophy of Hermetic wisdom. The embassy houses the Bibliotheca Philosophica Hermetica, which contains over 25,000 books on topics such as Hermeticism, alchemy, mysticism, and Western esotericism. This collection is recognized for its significance in the study of free thought and has been designated as a UNESCO Memory of the World, emphasizes the interconnectedness of God, the cosmos, and humanity. As I walked in, the first pictures I saw was Melusine, of whom my father studied within the dynamics and philosophy of the true divine feminine, and on the opposite wall, the Ouroboros. As both my father and I have written about these in our books, I felt some videos would help people that portrait themselves as experts to get a very clear understanding. Once they read and hear, they will realize how wrong they have misinterpreted the Royal Dragon Court and see that we take on the concepts in reflection towards a more humanitarian ethos. We do not deal with basic surface level understanding. To be a dragon, you will already have this knowledge. People of the Royal Dragon bloodline tend to be deep thinkers of such philosophies. The Ouroboros, learning from cycles. So history does not repeat itself. The Ouroboros, usually shown as a serpent or dragon consuming its own tail, is one of the most enduring symbols in esoteric philosophy. It is commonly interpreted as a representation of eternity, renewal, death, and rebirth, and the continuous movement of existence. However, its meaning does not have to be limited to the idea that everything simply repeats forever. The Ouroboros can also represent the human ability to recognize patterns, learn from previous experience, and break destructive cycles. In this interpretation, the symbol is not saying that history must repeat itself. Instead, it warns that history will repeat itself unless knowledge is carried forward and used differently. The circular form of the Ouroboros immediately suggests repetition. The serpent travels continuously around the same path, returning to the point from which it began. This resembles the patterns that appear throughout individual lives, families, societies, religions, and political systems. Conflicts may return in different forms, similar mistakes may be made by successive generations, and people may repeatedly find themselves facing situations that resemble earlier difficulties. The names, places, and circumstances may change, but the underlying pattern remains recognizable. Yet the Ouroboros is not merely trapped within the circle. It is also aware of and connected to the whole cycle. Its head meets its tail, bringing the ending into direct contact with the beginning. Symbolically, this meeting point can represent memory. The past is not completely separate from the present. It feeds into it. What happened before influences what happens next. Previous decisions, wounds, achievements, and failures all become part of the material from which the future is formed. This makes the Ouroboros a powerful symbol of historical awareness. When people do not understand the past, they may respond to new problems using the same methods that previously failed. They may repeat patterns of control, conflict, betrayal, or self-destruction without recognizing that they have returned to an old cycle. The Ouroboros therefore acts as a warning. Repetition without awareness becomes entrapment. However, when a person recognizes the pattern, the cycle can become a source of learning rather than imprisonment. Experience provides knowledge. By examining what happened previously, why it happened, and what consequences followed, it becomes possible to choose a different response. The cycle may return, but the person meeting it is no longer exactly the same. They possess the memory of the earlier experience and can apply that knowledge to the present. This distinction transforms the circle into something closer to a spiral. A circle returns endlessly to the same place, while a spiral passes similar points at different levels. The situation may appear familiar, but growth has occurred. The lesson has been carried forward. In this sense, the Ouroboros can symbolize development through recurring experience. It acknowledges that human beings often encounter similar themes throughout their lives, but it does not require them to repeat the same behavior or produce the same result. The serpent consuming its own tail also represents self-examination. The source of the cycle is not always external. Individuals and societies can unknowingly preserve the very conditions they claim to oppose. Fear may produce controlling behavior, control may produce resistance, and resistance may create further fear. The cycle feeds itself. To break it, the participants must recognize how their own actions contribute to its continuation. This is one of the more challenging meanings of the Ouroboros. It asks people to look honestly at inherited beliefs, habitual reactions, and established methods. A method may once have been necessary or successful, but that does not mean it remains appropriate forever. Continuing to use the same response simply because it was used before can recreate the same difficulties. Wisdom lies not in repeating tradition automatically, but in understanding when an old method has completed its purpose and must be replaced. The Ouroboros can therefore represent the transformation of inherited experience. The past cannot be erased, but it can be reinterpreted. Painful events can become warnings. Failed systems can become evidence. Family patterns can be identified and changed. Historical injustice can be studied so that its methods are recognized when they begin to appear again. The past then becomes a teacher rather than a prison. This interpretation is particularly important because the phrase "history repeats itself" can sound fatalistic, as though human beings have no power to alter what comes next. The Ouroboros suggests something more complicated. Cycles exist and familiar patterns do return, but consciousness creates the possibility of change. History does not repeat itself automatically. It repeats when its lessons are ignored, concealed, misunderstood, or deliberately forgotten. To say history must not repeat itself is therefore to recognize both danger and responsibility. It means preserving knowledge of earlier events and applying it to present choices. It requires people to notice similarities before the cycle is complete, rather than only recognizing them afterwards. The purpose of remembering is not to remain trapped in old events, but to prevent their consequences from being recreated. The Ouroboros also represents renewal because breaking a cycle does not necessarily mean destroying everything that came before. It can mean retaining what was valuable while abandoning what caused harm. The serpent continuously transforms itself, consuming the old form and turning it into new life. Symbolically, knowledge from the past is absorbed and changed. It becomes part of a new understanding rather than remaining an unchanged burden. Ultimately, the Ouroboros represents more than endless recurrence. It expresses the relationship between memory, experience, responsibility, and transformation. Its circle shows that the past remains connected to the future, while its act of self-consumption shows that renewal must come through confronting and transforming what already exists. Seen in this way, the Ouroboros does not simply declare that history repeats itself, it presents a choice. People may move blindly around the same circle, repeating old methods and receiving familiar consequences, or they may recognize the pattern, carry forward the lesson, and respond differently. The true wisdom of the Ouroboros is therefore not repetition, but conscious transformation, learning from what has already occurred so that the future is not condemned to become another copy of the past.